mean, this didn't start today. For me, for about 15 years ago, had known that a day like this would come. And for people around me, I've always told them that soon enough, traditional media will begin to suffer from the onslaught that we're experiencing today. I remember I granted an interview with the defunct Champion newspaper.
Okay.
Well, Champion is, coming back now.
Okay.
The then Champion newspaper, I granted an interview back then, I think about 12 years ago. And this same question that you've asked me came up. And I said that, look, if today's traditional media do not adopt technology, we're going to suffer in the future. And I guess that's what is happening. So the onslaught that we're having today is not a bad thing in itself, because actually as a result of technology, technology is now the major driver of newspapering or the media generally today. And that's why you can have everybody call himself a journalist, unlike you, that you trained, that you went through the crucibles of journalism and all of that. Unlike myself, that I went through journalistic experience, various degrees of experience of journalism. Now, everybody today with a phone, with an Android phone or even an iPhone, will call himself or herself a journalist. So, why? Because he has an enabler. That's technology. So, as long as he can write good English or bad English, and he can get the story, and he can post on either Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or whatever platform, they consider themselves journalists. Unlike what we used to have back then, that the process of becoming a journalist was a bit streamlined and was a tough one. And if you're not well baked, you cannot call yourself a journalist. So today, I think that we don't really need to cry about it. I think what you are doing is what we need to do. We need to adopt it. We need to adopt technology. We need to be part of it for our future. So that's why I'm excited when you said that the digital version of City People. In fact, there was a time I was wondering why City People was not competing, was not playing on the social media. I think it took you a bit long before you decided to play. So I used to wonder at that time that because City People was a big name, was a huge name, and there were about three of you then: City People, Global Excellence, and National Encomium. And incidentally, the three publishers are friends. So, that we used to know back then. So, but today, it's only City People that we're seeing in the digital media, the digital space. So that's why I believe that we cannot do but to embrace that digital space. We just have to embrace it. Otherwise, we will be, in the relics of history.
Okay. Yeah.
You understand that what has been the problems of print media has been the advertisement, not patronage kind of place, because you can't really run without having a strong advertisement backing. Now that there's no any other advertisement support, how do you think newspaper house can really break through?
I know that one of the challenges, for newspapering in Nigeria is poor funding, lack of patronage, and of course lack of, technology too. I keep, referring to technology. But then all of those can still be circumvented, if I must say. People get a lot of advertisements online that I know today that um, as a media relations manager for a governor, being a spokesman for the governor, I know that when I'm doing my planning, I plan for the digital space. If I'm doing any campaign, I'm thinking in my head, how can I reach about 20, 25 million Nigerians, especially when you look at the demographic, the youth, and I need to appeal to them, I need to talk to them. I won't go to newspaper. I won't go to the traditional newspaper. I will go to online newspaper. You understand? So in that way, online, I mean, newspaper will still get their revenue. So the most important thing for me is that the newspapers, yes, there are challenges with advertisements, but we can go around the issue of the challenges by ensuring that we play in the digital space. If we have a seat at the table in the digital room, definitely people, when they're sharing the pie, we'll have our own, we have our own share of it. So that's the way I look at it. Otherwise, nobody will come to us, because how many people, buy, newspapers of the vendors again? When you wake up in the morning, all of the newspapers are sent to you online, full edition, digital edition. You just look for stories that interest you and read, and after reading it, that's all. Now, you find newspapers in places like my office because of documentation, because we need to do hard copy documentation. Just for that purpose alone, before I get to the office, I've read all the things that concern Lagos State and my principal. I've read the stories online. So when I get to the office and they give me the cut of, I'm not interested anymore, because I already know what is there. So that's why it's very important for us to go back to the drawing board and ensure that we play in the digital space, and which is what City People is doing, and we're doing very well. Now, City People was, back in the day, the mouthpiece for the socialites, the social animals in Nigeria. Back then, I don't see any reason why people should go to another platform than City People online for the same kind of things that they were giving us in print version. So once that one is done and done adequately well, I believe that we'll continue to patronize, and the money will definitely come in.
Then I was going to ask for your explanation. I've noticed that for the print media, there's been a lot of, interestingly, there's been a lot of new publications coming on stream in the hard copy. And I'm wondering how they intend to survive or sustain the.
Yeah, I understand. Interestingly, there are about three that I've been monitoring, and I've been asking myself how these guys are surviving. There's News Direct. Well, News Direct has been there for like close to 9 years now. Well, the publisher just died recently. May God bless his soul. And that's what Jolayemi died recently. But you see, apart from that, there is News Time. There is there are about 3-4 of them that I've seen on the newsstand, recently, and I'm wondering how they're gonna do it. But maybe they have their own marketing strategy. I don't know. But all I know is that newspapering is very challenged right now. I know it is tough. The high cost of newsprint, the printing materials and all that. I mean, not even with the current, exchange rates in the country, the economic situation and all, I doubt if anyone is, strong enough to go into newspaper business. But we've seen, a couple of guys that are dared to enter. So I think we need to ask them, we need to find out from them how they're doing it, because I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're surviving.
And as the chief press secretary, how easy is it for you to keep tab of all the various platforms on social media, plus the conventional print media?
Oh, thank you, sir. So it's not a very easy task, but I would say first and foremost, you devote your time to monitoring the news. And secondly, there are some softwares that give you alerts and notification once the name of your principal is mentioned in any platform. So you get the notification, and of course, because it's your job, you quickly go there to see, look, what's going on, whether it's for good or for bad. You want to see what they're saying or what they're writing about your principal. So that helps me a whole lot. So, and that's again is one of the reasons I said technology is an enabler. It enables us to do so many kinds of things. Now, for the conventional, media, I know that because they practice what I would describe, without trying to hurt anybody or despise anybody, I know they practice responsible journalism. I'm not usually afraid, because I wouldn't expect a Punch newspaper to write stories about us without hearing from us. Same thing with the Vanguard or Guardian newspaper or the Nation newspaper, do anything of such. So I'm usually not scared about them, but the other platforms that are there on social media, they just take any stories, they just write anything without even contacting you, without even seeking to know, Mr. Kennedy, is it true that this and this happened, or can you confirm to us what happened at XYZ? For example, yesterday, the governor and the Speaker of the House of Assembly, with the members of the Governance Advisory Council, the GAC, they had a meeting. Nobody went into the meeting with them. I also didn't go into the meeting with them. Now, you expect that our colleagues would call you to find out what went down. Perhaps, my boss could have told me, what happened in the meeting. You understand? But you see, what you now begin to read are speculations. People will just give the meeting their own interpretation, and they will write and publish. So when I read, I just laugh or I just smile. You understand? But one or two persons called to find out, and interestingly, the people that called are from mainstream media. The Punch newspaper called me, and the guy in Vanguard also called me. So I'm not surprised that those ones will call to find out what really happened. But you see, the other platform, like maybe the something.com, those ones just go, take their phone or their laptop, write anything they want, about the meeting. Sanwo-Olu Obasa settle rift. Sanwo-Olu to, they just write anything they want, and they will just background it with the rejection of the 17 commissioner nominees, and they will call it news, they will call it story. Well, again, these are some of the challenges that we see and we have to learn to cope with doing this job.
And so in that kind of a situation, how do you try to prevent speculations?
So
because you have probably to be proactive or be to suggest what they should write, instead of allowing them to do a damaging reportage.
Yeah, you're right. So what we do, you've actually answered it. What we do most times is to be ahead of them. Most times, what we do is we come ahead of the media by ensuring that we push our own narrative into the media space before they even, think of, sitting down to write at all. So once we push our own narrative into the media space, they fly with that. But some of them who are interested in following up, can actually follow up afterward. But to mitigate that kind of thing, we try to be ahead of them. But in the case of the meeting of yesterday, we were not interested in writing anything. We were not interested in putting anything in the media space because it was just one of the several meetings that they usually hold. So we didn't see it as anything big or anything serious. So for us, it was just okay. Look, if anybody wants to write, yeah, you feel free to go and write. And if you call me to confirm what you have written, all I'll just tell you that it's a no. Because it didn't happen.
When the report of rejection of those 17 names were um, given to your husband, how was the feeling like? And what was the reaction towards that?
Okay, so naturally, I mean, he's a human being. He will feel bad. He wouldn't like it. It's just natural. But that day, I didn't really see him one on one because I left him before the announcement, came. And he was traveling. He was going to Kigali for the United Nations summit that they had some governors. Yes. So we didn't even have the opportunity of seeing each other until he left. And we only spoke on the phone about the rejection. And so he said he would get on it, that he would make some calls and he would get on it when he returned. And he returned from there. From Kigali, he went to Egypt to go and sign some agreement, on behalf of Lagos State with Afrexim. Afrexim is Africa, export import bank. So, so the agreement is to raise, money, to raise fund for some capital projects in Lagos State. So he returned yesterday, and upon his return, we've been having meetings, and I believe that everything is under control.
So, so maybe I have to ask you this. Before the rejection of the nominees, we've been hearing a lot between Mr. Governor and the Speaker of the House of Speaker. But because I think about the second time of Mr. Speaker, he actually went to what we heard from the media then, that he went to Hajj to meet Ashwad to plead on behalf of that it shouldn't be removed from the. We heard a lot of things and all of that. And here we are, 17 names have been rejected. We heard about protests in Ethiopia that none of they don't have any representation. Let me put it that way. And a lot of local government as well, they also complain about this. And when we check about, we also go through the names as well, and we also detect some names that shouldn't be there according to them, that they said their people are not being represented, that they need people in the government. Is it part of the reason why those names are being rejected?
I honestly don't know, but you see, you can't rule anything out. You can't rule anything out because this is democracy, this is politics, and a lot of engagements are needed when you are in politics. Stakeholders, and you must reach out to everybody. Nobody is inferior to anybody in politics, and to a very great extent, Mr. Governor and Mr. Speaker are very close friends, and brothers. They are close partners and brothers. There is actually nothing, between them. You see, what you saw out there was probably smoke screen. It wasn't anything, serious. It wasn't anything serious. The two of them are very good together. Because look, why would there be any issue between them? They are fighting for the common people in Lagos State. They're fighting, they're working for the interests of Lagosians. So if Mr. Governor says, oh, these are the people I want to use, and the House of Assembly says, oh, because of one, two, three reasons, remove these people, it is not fight, it is just work. There is what they call checks and balances in democracy. You understand? The executive, legislature, and the judiciary. You understand? So, for example, if there is an issue between the executive and the judiciary and the legislature, who do you think they will take it to? The judiciary will be the arbiter between the two of them. So the three arms of government, of course, the fourth one, the fourth estate of the realm, the media. So the two of them will take their case to the judiciary, who will sit down and say, okay, you were wrong, you were right, or the two of you are wrong, do it this way, or the two of you are right, why don't you just do it this way? I think it's all about negotiation. It's all about what has happened should even give Lagosians that confidence about Lagos State, that we live in a state where the finest of democratic cultures, reign supreme, where the House of Assembly can checkmate the executive, where the executive can also, perform, its, duties and functions without any fear or favor. You understand? So I think we are living in a very good time in Lagos State.
How do you manage information around Mr. Governor, especially before election and after election? A lot of things happen before and after election. We heard about Numa who came out claiming all sorts of things about as a son and all of that. Because sometimes it's very hard to manage. And secondly, you also have the issue of these people telling people that they are being marginalized in Lagos and all of that. How do you?
It's actually engagement with the people, and then you said there's something about emotional intelligence, which you must adopt in everything that you do. You shouldn't underestimate anyone. You shouldn't look down on anyone when you are in this kind of situation. You try to bring everybody, on board, and listen to them, talk to them. Even where you do not have the appropriate response, you can just find a way to let them know that, look, I don't have an answer for you. Why don't we, talk about this later? So in my own case, when I get confronted with questions that I can't really give an answer to, what I do is, why don't you give me some time? Let me, come back to you. And I will call Mr. A or Mr. B, who is the process owner or the driver. Please, I have this challenge. What have you people been doing about it? Because the media guys are asking. Now, in the case of people that come out to tell lies against one's boss, because we already know. So what happens is this: you find out from your principal. You find out, it's just like a case of a lawyer who has a client. The client will tell the lawyer, everything about him, everything about, the situation. So that the lawyer would know how to defend him, the client, in the law court. You ask your principal, this story has just broken, or someone has just sent. Sometimes people send ahead. Someone has just sent this to me, sir. What can you tell me about it? Is it true? Do you have a child? In where is it? Delta. Delta. Did you have a child in Delta State? And the man just laughed. I said, I don't know. The guy was just laughing. Say, hey, being a governor is a problem. So everybody would just come out with different kind of allegations. So it's the world that we live in. I mean, let me take you. Oga will remember the case of Barrister when one woman said she was the biological mother. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it comes with the terrain. It comes with the terrain. When you are famous and you are rich, you are famous, people want to identify or they want to claim ownership of you, regardless of what they're going to do to your own psyche, what they're going to do to tarnish your image. But it's our own job to continue to tell the truth.
Moving forward, as per yesterday's meeting and all that, what's the next stage now? Is the government going to file
Yeah.
new
So
names or what?
yes, he's going to represent the names, but he hasn't told me. He hasn't told us the names that he's representing. Whether he's going to represent the old names, or where or maybe he's going to look into the names and work in tandem with the House of Assembly and the GAC and of course the political party. But I know that it's going to work, with everybody to represent very acceptable names, so that we don't have any form of rancor going forward in Lagos.
And then how do you also intend to deal with the general perception out there that the speaker and Mr. Governor are not?
We're already dealing
When they talk, people say they are brothers, they are friends.
Yeah, but we're already dealing with it. I mean, you saw the pictures yesterday, you saw videos of them yesterday hugging each other, shaking hands. Look, the bitterest of enemies that go to war, they will end the war at a round table like this, and they will shake hands, and everybody will be fine. I mean, especially if the war is about war of principles and not war of attrition or war of bitterness. If the war is about, look, we want development, we want something good, for our people. It's just a minor disagreement, caused by misunderstanding or misrepresentation of facts and figures. I don't think they should draw cutlasses and cut off their heads. I think at the end of the day they should just hand holds themselves, shake hands, and of course everybody give each other a pat at the back, and everybody smiles at the end of the day, which is exactly what has happened between the speaker and Mr. Governor.
Okay.
There's no issue at all.
Let me also ask about the what I call the achievements of Mr. Governor. You know that from time to time you always come out with, and especially during the last electionary period, and we had a lot of detailed reports of what Mr. Governor did in the last 4 years and all of that. How do you also deal with those who still believe, or still say that, oh, Mr. Governor has not done anything in the last 4 years? Or not done anything. The people also say that.
No. So we shouldn't surprise us. Yesterday, I put out in a piece of information after a press conference by Lamata that the commercial operations of Lagos Blue Line will take off on Monday. And underneath, one guy, everybody kept saying, "Oh, this is good, this is fine, Lagos is moving, Sanwo-Olu is the best." One guy just came and poured bitterness. The guy poured bitterness, underneath. So, in that situation, should I respond to the guy? The answer is no. I left it, and under his own comment, citizens themselves were attacking him. That you must be a bad person, you must be an evil person, they were attacking him. So you naturally have, the world is full of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. There is no way you won't have the evil-minded ones around. There's no way you will not have good ones around. You have the sit-down look around. You understand? So we'll continue to manage everybody because everybody at the end of the day is a citizen. You understand? So, but what do we continue to do? We'll continue to project what we have done, all the beautiful things that the governor has done, which are very visible, to the eyes. Um, in the housing sector, for example, there's no governor that has injected the number of housing units that Mr. Sawolu has done in the housing sector. So the records are there. We've injected well over 14,000 housing units within the space of 4 years. In transport and traffic management, when we were coming on board, Apapa was a no-go area. People forget very easily. Apapa was a no-go area. It was a campaign issue at that time that we would get rid of this Apapa, this intractable traffic in Apapa. Today, we have gotten rid of it. That's a huge achievement. But you see, people forget. No, it's easy when people become comfortable, they forget the bad time. Even with us as individuals, the moment you start to have money, you will forget that you used to drink Gary. Yes, you will forget the days that you buy Bolly and be looking for a pa, to go with it. Because there is money now. It's only few people that will have money and won't forget where they're coming from. So when people become comfortable, they forget that, oh, wait a minute, so Apapa used to be a no-go area. But they've forgotten. Today, you can go to Apapa now, easily. Now, look at road construction. We've done 6 junction improvements from Lekki to Allen Avenue to Ejigbo, different parts of the state. Now, we've constructed, rigid pavement roads from Eleko Junction to Epe. 6 lanes, rigid pavement. The road will last for 40 years. 40. I'm 52 now. By the time I'm 92, the road will just, need, yes. So, you know what that means? So, very soon we're going to complete this Opebi, that Jota. So, very soon we will complete it. Okay? So, we're very audacious. We met Agege Pen Cinema. I don't know how many of us come from that area. We met Agege Pen Cinema at 19 point something percent level. The former governor, started the project. That's Mr. Akinwumi, but they started it and it was barely at 15% to 19% level. We took it from that night. I know in construction you can't see anything at that percentage. You just be saying that okay, they are doing something here. So we took it from that 19% level to 100%. Not only the bridge, not only did we complete the bridge, we constructed several arterial roads around that axis so that the bridge would not be heavily burdened. You understand? So it's interesting to know that we've done quite a number of things in the space of 4 years. In the area of health, it's no news how we fought COVID to a standstill, how we ensured that everybody was kept safe. Well, naturally it consumed one or two, some people, but beyond that, we've built hospitals, MCC in Aja, in Epe, at Alimosho. So we started psychiatric hospital, very big one in Ketuereyun, Epe axis. We've started the new Mercy hospital. Many of us go to Lagos, from here, from the bridge here. When you descend the Third Mainland Bridge, as if you're going to Ikoyi, just keep looking to your right side. You'll see that is the new Mercy, that's the new Mercy Street Hospital. That's the new Mercy Street Hospital. So there's a lot of progress being, and it's Anyway, it's the biggest. When it's completed, it's going to be the biggest in Africa. It's going to be the biggest, maternal and child, children. I mean, children hospital in Africa. So there's a lot going on that this administration, has done. And look at the blue line as complete. We promised, we've delivered. At least that one has been delivered. Now the red line. The red line is now you can argue that the blue line wasn't started by Mr. Sanwo-Olu, but what about the red line? We conceived, started the red line, and we're going to, deliver it by the grace of God in December this year. Look, it's going to be moving about 1 million people from Alagbado, from Alagbado, Iju, Agzi, down to Agege, down to Ikeja, down to Mushi, down to Yaba, then Oyibo, and all the beautiful, very beautiful, iconic train stations. And each of our train station is not an ordinary train station. There are train stations that are multi-user train station, like you have in Oxford, in England, where you can do different kind of things. The one in Ikeja I have been, the one in Mushin I have been to because I'm a Mushin product. The one at Oyinbo, I have also been, and then we have overhead bridges, which Mr. Governor will start commissioning in another 2-3 weeks.
Let me ask you, I have so one question, but I don't know how to pay more. I want to ask you, before Mr. Governor became governor of Lagos State, he had a lot of people as his friend who are very close to him, just like you and all of that. What made him choose you as let's say because he had a lot of people. Are you related? Are you friends and all of that?
Okay.
Secondly, is
okay.
things that people don't know about him.
Okay, so let me start from the second question. Mr. Governor is a very fantastic man. He's a very humane person. Is someone who cannot hurt a fly. A very listening man. He's a very good man. I've worked with different people. If I tell you that this person is good, it is the fact that he's a very good man. Very approachable, very amiable, and it's also very tough when it needs results. And it's very perceptive. It may not really chastise you openly. It will just find a way to deal with you. And because you're not meeting up with a standard, it's someone who's top notch in his thinking. It's a very future thinker, futuristic in his thinking. So, and that's why he does a lot of things around technology. He's a future forward person, Maybe because of his background in banking and the oil sector, he's a future forward person. It's not someone, he doesn't like, we just finished a meeting now, and he was telling those people that don't restrict yourself to this is the way we used to do it. Can't you challenge the way we used to do it and think about the future? So that's the kind of person we're dealing with. He's a very good man. He doesn't lose his friends because he's the governor. No. His friends are still his friends. You understand? Maybe he may have acquired new friends level. But his friends are still his friends. So talking about how I became his press secretary, sometimes I was just doing my own thing, just like you're here. And I didn't know him from a close range. I knew him from a distance. It was a referral. Now, there was a project, and they called me to come and do media, plan media stuff for them. I did. And I was very passionate. I've always been a passionate person, with what I do. So I did my beat passionately. And it was then that he asked if I was going to work with him. You know, so I mean, who would say no to such an offer? So, you know, like they say in home video, grab your copy.
Well, a lot of people are surprised see your name the second time.
Why would they be
You know,
surprised?
it's expected in our climb that people used to change.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So, what some of our people were thinking is that I probably should go even above being, CPS. For me, what's more important in government and governance is first and foremost access. The access that a press secretary has, some commissioners will never have it. Except if your reason is your reason for being there, except if that reason is for money. Maybe you're looking for big money, But for me, it's about making an impact. I want to be able to advise the number one citizen. I want to be able to be there and say, Oga, I don't think this thing is going the right way, or Oga, this thing is, I want to be able to make an impact. So that's why I didn't even bother to, lobby or ask for anything else other than just leave me where I am.
How do you feel seeing your name the second time?
Well, I feel good, like any other person should. I feel, good, and I thanked my boss.
What are the things you want to now do differently, having served the very first 4 years and then having
Meeting. The things that
you want to now do differently? Also,
I'm adopting more technology to be able
because
to
you said,
enhance
you said that there are things that people keep forgetting that you've done and all that. Probably maybe you are not really amplifying some of what government has really done to, and then it will be difficult for them to now wind back and start thinking. But if you do anything and you quickly publish it, or you reach out to the masses that see what you have done, of course they will be on the same page with you. But if
so what
do less of that,
so what we're going to be doing differently is to continue to engage more, like I'm doing right now. We'll engage more with our colleagues to help us project all of the things that we're doing, and we'll continue to collaborate more. And yes, we're going to be hard on technology now this time around, because we'll find out that today's media is actually in the digital space.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the team, I want to say thank you once again for accepting to be here this evening.
Thank you very much, sir.
You had a very stimulating session.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.